recovery of a patient of plague. I mentioned in one of my speeches, I think in Jalsa Salana, or was it here? At the time of Hadhrat Mirza Tahir Ahmed, one of the household servants or someone, I think it was some poor Ahmadi who had migrated from somewhere else, a young man. He suffered from plague and all the signs appeared, and he was segregated, removed to Bada and kept there. And then some companions of Hadhrat Mirza Tahir approached him and requested earnestly for the prayer, because he was perhaps the only child of the father, and who was quite far away, I think in the south of India or Deccan somewhere. I don't know exactly the places, but the case was so pitiable that they went and requested for prayer. So Hadhrat Mirza Tahir said, I will pray. When one of them said, it is no time for prayer, because the plague has reached a stage from where no one has ever recovered, and it's past all human remedy and efforts. It's time for shafaat, intercession. So you better do that. So Hadhrat Mirza was permitted, his heart was so deeply moved that Allah permitted him to intercede on his behalf. And he interceded and told them to go back and see how the patient is. It's reported that when they went back, that patient was walking about healthily, and he was looking for water to take ablution and say the prayer. And it was a complete transformation in the patient. So this thing, because it was relevant, it was to be told also. I mentioned it somewhere, I think in one of my Jalsa speeches last year. Yes, last year it was. Yes. Yes, please. Hashim Saab.
Assalamu alaikum, Hazur.
Yes.
So my question belongs to the process of transformation from one religion to a true religion. And in this case, I mean Islam and Ahmadiyyat. As I have heard...
Islam and Ahmadiyyat, I mean as two religions?
No. In the time of the Holy Prophet, it was Islam, and at present, it is Islam.
It is still Islam.
We do call it, as it Ahmadiyyat as well.
No, it's not transformation. It's a reversion to the original.
To the original.
That's right, yes.
Zul, from the discussion, I gather that there were many ways in which people from other religions were converted and came into the fold of Islam. One was through the conquering of the places, the other was through some signs which they have seen. And the third is on their own initiatives through the prayers some people joined. And the big portion, as I understand, is the preaching. Hazur, what is that proportion of all these four of other means as well, which is overweighing than the other one? What of these factors, which of these factors is the overweight?
In fact, the most important factor in conversion has always been prayers, which are not seen. Preaching has been the major factor apparently, but the preaching of those people who were also holy and who were also humble and who did not lay much store by their preaching alone, but also sought Allah's help through prayers. This was revealed to us by Hadhrat Mirza Tahir in reference to the transformation which took place in Arabia. No Muslim scholar in all these centuries has ever mentioned this factor as the fundamentally most important factor which brought about that revolution. Maududis are found to say that it was a sword which ultimately converted. Others, non-Muslim scholars have also said that, and more pious and God-fearing among them have accepted the fact that it was the good conduct of Muhammad or Quwwat-e Qudsiya, at most they have said that. or the logic of Islam, and so many other factors have been mentioned, but none except Hadhrat Masih Maud has ever mentioned that it was through the prayer of Hadhrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that that transformation took place. Now prayer is something which mingles with every other factor. It is an independent factor, yet it also mingles with other factors and makes them effective. For instance, if there is a tree which does not bear fruit, the whole machinery is there is something lacking. If that something is provided, it begins to bear the fruit. But that something by itself is neither tree nor fruit producing machinery in itself. So prayer works like this. It mingles with the means which are apparent to the people of ordinary sight, but the true motivating factor behind is not palpable. It is not seen or it cannot be touched by hand. So they miss it altogether. Only those can realize it who have gone through that experience. So Hadhrat Masih Maud has drawn our attention that whatever apparent means you see in the preaching, the true, essential, most important factor behind the conversion in Islam is the prayer. And if that conversion does not take place through the prayer, then it may also have some defects. And but even through the prayer, some defects can be seen among the prayer, among the followers or those who are submitted, because of their own quality as well. But the transformation, that is to say a miraculous transformation, that has some positive element of prayer working behind the scene.
Hazur has already answered the second part of the question, but maybe to seek more enlightenment, if I could ask that. Hazur, in the process of preaching itself, now I'm coming down only to the one factor, and when by the grace of God I involved myself into it, I found it out that the preaching could be started at any time, but it can never be ended. This is true, because it can continue to other people and so on. But if we take one single individual and we start preaching him, then during the whole process there is only one particular point where the person who is preached converts, or his heart
melts or change, reaches that threshold.
That's right.
Where a decision is made.
Right.
Yes.
And that threshold is, what is that which brings the threshold nearer to the either preacher or to the preached?
Now it is, as far as the apparent causes of taking the final decision in this regard is concerned, there are so many and no generalization can be made. In fact, each man has his own internal design, and in that internal design he has his doors and windows and other places situated according to that set architectural design. Now, unless you know which the door is and where the window is constructed, you can't reach him properly. If an approach through window is required, you must know where the window is. If an approach through a door is required, you should also know the situation of the door. So this is a varying scheme. Each individual has his own internal design. So no generalization can be made. Only the principle which should be followed is this, that every preacher must try to understand the design of the person whom he is addressing. His likings, his dislikes, his sentimental values, his logical level of logic, and his internal preferences, whether he would be more moved by sentiments or by logic, or is it a well-balanced affair or lopsided affair, and what other factors interest him, his habits, his